When a developer says that they love a genre and want to make a game that's a love letter to it, then hopefully and usually you're in for a very good time, and I'm pleased to say you will be with Unholy Alliance Tower Defense. It's one of the best balanced tower defense games that I've played in recent years, and for that, and not being a copy and paste job from all the other ones, I think it deserves a really good shout out. In Unholy Alliance, you're not just battling against aliens, you're battling against humans too, and they have very distinct classes depending on which enemies are coming from which directions, and this plays into the fundamental heart of the game. You only have 5 towers, which initially I thought, oh, that's going to be a bit stingy, but it's really succinct and broken down into a very strategic way, because only 2 of your towers deal with humans, 2 of them deal with aliens, and 1, the fire tower, deals with both. So, what you'll be looking at each map to do is to place the towers in strategic locations so that you can cover off where the humans are coming, where the aliens are coming, and then quite often they'll switch over for the next wave and you're like, no, that's not what I wanted. So you'll be looking very much around what your area coverage is and then the upgrades to your towers as you go along, because you really have to think about placement and where you're going to get the best bang for your buck for the type of enemy that's coming from that direction in general. You'll get to learn this through the easy modes, and then as you get through normal and hard, the enemies get more HP, they're more tougher to deal with, but then also your towers become more expensive too. So as you replay maps, the strategy that worked beforehand no longer works later on because you don't have the dosh to carry it through, which makes the game feel different each time you come into play. Alongside this, you have 6 different big abilities that you can actively manage whilst your towers are busy creating carnage. And these all play nicely into each other, and you can use them in placement with your towers. One of the biggest things with this is the decoy. The decoy you can place on anywhere in the map on the path, and because some of the enemies don't need to walk up to the extractor that you're trying to defend at the end, they can shoot from afar like snipers or missile rockets. Being able to put down those decoys is absolutely key because it bunches people up at certain locations, and then you can use your freeze attack, which makes people stunned but also vulnerable to more damage, and then like a little nuclear missile that gets them a big huge wave of damage. You can combine different things together to make it work really well, or you could just freeze them behind a decoy and then use one of the like extreme power-ups that will power up a tower to be twice its speed and damage. The other thing that you can do is lay down mines and then set them to charge and then flip the switch once they're all armed, and then you can have like a big line of mines explode all together. Really cool. All of these have cooldowns and all of these are upgradable, just like the towers as well. So not only do towers go for an upgrade to be bigger radius, more powerful and quicker fire, but so do all of those effects that I've just gone through as well, where they can have a quicker cooldown and be more damageful as they go along, or the decoy has more HP before it falls over. One of the interesting tactics is that you can also lay down decoys just whenever they recharge, and if you don't need them, sell them for extra coins. And that's what I was doing early on in the game, to get me an extra tower or an upgrade or two, because I found that personally a really helpful tactic. Again, all of this thought has been put into Unholy Alliance to make it so that you have lots of different options and lots of different ways to complete and win the level. Outside of that, the extractors, which are the things that you're protecting on each level, are also upgradable for more HP, but also a weapon of their own, where they have like a blast radius ring that flies out and will fry anything around its core. All of this is really, really cool, and then it adds in another element when you reach the alien world, or wastelands as it's called, and Ratash, who is like the big angry octopus boss, has its own little tower on the maps, and it charges up rage and then basically has an eye of Sauron, is the best way to describe it. It opens up the ground, a big orange eye is there, and it will make any enemies that pass through it enraged, so they'll have double speed but also double power. And so what you need to do is then use your freeze attack to stop that from happening before it does. or close down the eye when it does, because actually you can see the tide turn very quickly against you if you let that continue for too long. From a gameplay perspective, I have very little to fault from Unholy Alliance. It does what it says on the tin and does it exceptionally well. From a technical standpoint though, once you hit those Wasteland alien levels later on in the game, it does run into a slowdown, and the enemies are marching forward at a much slower pace because there's so much going on the screen for the game to cope with. It's especially hampered by fire towers, I noticed. The more of those you put down, the more issues I seem to have with this slowdown. But strangely, you can still move around at your own speed and pace as well. It's just all of the enemies and the firing is actually going on slower. So I think some optimization is really needed for this game in the latter third of it, so that it gives you that consistent challenge and speed throughout the whole gaming experience. If you're happy with that though, and you don't mind that, this is a top tier tower defense game. Thoroughly enjoyable, great fun to play. I've been playing it for hours and slowly making my way through the campaign, levelling up my stars and getting more and more things on my upgrades, and I do definitely recommend it. A written review will be over on highplanegames.com, and if you found this review helpful, please do consider giving it a thumbs up to help me out. Cheers! Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/Higher Network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.